So over here we have the head screw. This acts as an extra layer of protection for your PABS. When your PABS machine is properly heated, you are sure that your PABS machine is protected from things like thunder strike, because it sends the power from the thunder strike down to your head pit, and it won't be able to affect the power supply of your PABS machine. Now over here we have the battery input terminal. This particular PABS gives you an option of installing a battery for extra power in case the power coming from the grid fails. Your PABS machine won't go off, rather it will take power from the battery instead of the PABS machine shutting down and affecting whatever you're doing. Now over here we have the battery switch. This battery switch is where you use to switch on and off the battery power. Okay, so we'll go over to the cards now. We have different kinds of card here, SL, LC card, and other kinds of card, LCOT card, and different kinds of card like that. Another thing that is significant here is the PFT box. Now for the PFT box, this stands for power failure transfer. What this does to your PABS is to add a layer of power supply to that particular card that it is connected to. So if there is a particular card slot on your PABS machine that is really important and must not go off for any reason at all, so you can add another layer of power protection for it, and that is connecting the PFT port. The PFT port, just like the name implies, it stands for power failure transfer. Remember earlier we talked about the battery terminal input, where you can add another extra layer of power to your PABS machine. Now that is what this PFT stands for. If there is any card on your PABS machine that needs another extra layer of power that you don't want it to go off at all, so you connect your PFT port and then send it to the CO line or SLC port, or the CO port of your another PABS machine. You just slot it there so that will act as another extra layer of protection, so that whatever is connected to this Amphenol cable here, this Amphenol cable, it will not go off. The phones that are connected to it will not go off, because it will quickly send power from the CO port that you connected the PFT port to, so that it can power your device. So all of the card here has a PFT port. Now let's go over to the CPU card. Now for the CPU card, this is the CPU LED here. And the way the CPU LED works is that once you power on your CPU, to be sure that your CPU is working, the CPU LED has to turn on, and not just turning on, it has to turn green. When your CPU turns red, it shows that there is a problem somewhere, either with the SD card that I'm going to be talking about later. If there is a problem with the SD card, then the CPU is going to show red. The reason is because the SD card on the CPU stores all the programming that you've set for that particular PABS machine. So if there is a problem with the SD card, the CPU LED light will start showing you a red light. It start beeping red light or steady red light to show that there is a problem somewhere, either with the CPU card itself, to show that the CPU card has failed, or there is a problem with the SD card. The SD card is either corrupt or it is not inside the SD card port of the CPU. Now let's look at another the SD card slot. So like I said earlier, this SD card slot houses the SD card, and that is where you have your configuration. Now we'll go to the initialization switch. This switch here is where you initialize the CPU of your PABS. This is how it works. There is a reset button above this initialization switch. So you switch your initialize switch to initialize. Normally it will be set to normal, but you switch it down to initialize. Then you press the reset button. Reset button is slightly above the initialize switch. When you switch the initialize switch to initialization mode and you press the reset button, what will happen is that it's going to reset the PABS machine to default. Once you reset it to default, bear in mind that if the PABS is misbehaving or not working properly before, it will start working properly. But there is a caveat here. All of the programming that you've done on the PABS and on the SD card will be lost. You have to go back and reprogram the extension number, the CO lines, and every other configuration that you've done on the PABS before. So you have to be sure that of what you're doing before you reset your PABS machine. Now let's go over to our next port here. We have the USB port. The USB port is used to connect your PABS machine to a laptop that has the software of the particular model of the PABS you are working with at that time. So this is how it works. You then use a laptop to do the configuration, like the extension numbers, the CO lines, and every other configuration you might like to do on your PABS machine. Remember that you have to have the software installed on your PC first before you do this configuration. Another thing you need to bear in mind is that the computer is not the only way you can do configuration for your PABS machine. You can also make use of your phone if you have a console phone, a proprietary console phone that came with your PABS machine, to do the configuration also. Or if you do not have one, or the one you have is bad, or none came with the PABS machine for any reason at all, either you bought it as a second hand or fairly used, you can still get another box that can match your machine and use it to do configuration on your PABS machine. Alright, so that is it about the USB port. You can use it to do configuration on your PC. So that is that, folks. Thank you for watching this short video. Hope it was helpful. I'll see you some other time.